We want to thank the Boise State team for coming and getting prepared. Just a couple of announcements and reminders for the room, and then some instructions for these guys. For their presentation, they do have 20 minutes for their presentation. They'll have 10 minutes for Q&A for some discussion from the judges. Guys, you'll have a 5-minute warning before we get ready to kick it into Q&A. Darren's going to be your timekeeper. She'll just give you a quick hi sign. Okay. For the room, we know you're all excited to be here for Boise State and excited to offer them jobs. We got first dibs. No, I'm kidding. All we ask is that at the end of the presentation, when everything's all wrapped up and done, let's be respectful of the next team that's going to come in. And if you'll take all conversations out in the hallway, please, instead of staying in the room. All right? Gentlemen, floor's yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Morning, everyone. Very glad you're all here bright and early. With that, I would like to present to you the Littoral Combat Ship Training Facility located in the beautiful, sunny San Diego, Southern California. My name is Ben Tolomeo. I will be the project exec on this job. I have 17 years of experience working for Mortensen. I personally know 3 out of 5 of these guys. I've worked with them in the past. And the combination of their skills, experience, and personalities, this would be a great project for us.
My name is Max McKenna. I am the design phase manager on this project. I have extensive experience in the design side of construction. As well, I have extensive experience in lean construction. That is why I was selected for this project. There are great opportunities for lean. Thank you.
My name is Skylar Vishka. I'm the project manager on this. I've been with Mortensen now for 6 years. 2 of these years were with the advanced tech team. I'm hoping to take some of those thoughts and processes and pass them on to my team. Some of the things I worked on with my team here was developing the schedule with my superintendent and my estimator. And I also helped to process through the lead and the lean processes on this project.
My name is Devin Cloud. I was the lead estimator on this project. I've been with Mortensen for about 8 years now. I was approached by this team because of my extensive knowledge and experience in the concrete division here at Mortensen. And there is quite a bit of concrete takeoff. I worked with at least 2 out of the 5 people standing next to me here, and I worked very closely with our project manager, Skylar Hushka, as well as our superintendent, Nate Cruz, in developing the estimate.
Good morning. My name is Nate Cruz, and I'm going to be the superintendent on this project. My job was to help create the site logistics plan, which we'll talk about a little bit later, as well as I'm fairly new to Mortensen construction in the federal division, but I come from a long history of heavy commercial projects, very large commercial projects, and I think that's why I'm selected on this team. Thank you.
My name is Dante Friesen, and I will be the project engineer on this project. I've worked for Mortensen for 5 years, including 2 years with the sustainability team, and I've spent the last 2 projects with our superintendent, Nick Cruz.
All right, thank you guys. And with that, here's a couple of the items we're going to discuss today in our proposal. First and foremost, project overview. The building itself is an existing warehouse. We're going to go inside and do a complete warehouse renovation, not on the entire building, but a portion of it. The part we're going to be doing is about 148,000 square feet. The total contract value is valued at $35.6 million. And the notice to proceed date is 10 April 2019, with a total duration of 24 months, concluding on the 3rd of February 2021. So here is the project site and the base itself. The blue is the outline of the naval base, and the red is the project site itself. Notice it's kind of located in the heart of the base. So my team has identified a couple risks on this project. The first being the fact that it's an active naval base, and we are expecting them to not exactly work with us 100% on our schedule, because the military has their own agenda. So to mitigate that, we're going to make sure we have proactive schedule coordination with the Navy construction representative to ensure we identify all major milestones in our schedule, don't interflict or conflict with the military's operations, that'll avoid schedule drawbacks. Our second risk is continuous owner operations in the renovation building. We've identified this as a risk due to the fact that, like I said earlier, the building won't be completely vacant. There's going to be owner operations continuing during construction. So what we're going to do is build temporary walls to block all the interior doorways to ensure no one accidentally wanders into the construction area. And we will also additionally post signage on the exterior and interiors to ensure no one accidentally wanders in. And finally, we've identified the groundwater conditions to be at risk because it's located close to the ocean. The geotech report the geotech report stated that the groundwater is about 6 to 7 feet below grade, and we know we're going to have to excavate about 12 feet below grade for the elevator pits, so we know we're going to encounter groundwater, and we don't want to be surprised by that. So we're going to make sure we coordinate with our subcontractors to install well points, sump pumps, and waterproof membranes to avoid schedule conflicts and surprises. And with that, I will pass it on to Devin.
Thank you, Nick. As Nick mentioned, this is on a naval base. This is a design build GMP guaranteed maximum price contract. The total contract price came out to $35.6 million. At 148,000 square feet, that came out to $240 a square foot. I wanted to highlight some of the bigger ticket items for you guys. As you guys know, bigger ticket items means bigger risk, more money, more risk. The mechanical sub-bid came out to $10.4 million, the electrical $6.2 million, and the steel $4.6 million. Now, since this is on a naval base and it is a federal contract, we did vet all of our trade partners to make sure that they were all compliant with Buy American Act, as well as they are all union, so they will satisfy the Davis-Bacon wage requirements. Moving forward to the general conditions came to a total of $2,160,000, which was 6% of the total GMP contract price. The personnel cost was $1.2 million, and that was with a field engineer, a project manager, and a superintendent on site full-time. Our desired monthly cash inflow is going to be $48,000. Thankfully, Uncle Sam likes to cash checks pretty frequently. So as long as we can get that to pay our men on site, then we should be good. Moving forward to the concrete takeoff that we did. The self-performed concrete work came out to $3.2 million, and that's with over 2,600 cubic yards of concrete being placed on site. We were also going to self-perform some of the specialty items, which came to $136,000. And while we're here, we might as well talk about curveballs 1 and 3. We did decide that it would be in Mortensen's best interest to self-perform the gypsum board installation throughout the project, which cost a total of $870,000. We were able to put this in the schedule in a way that it would not affect our critical path in any way. Moving on to curveball number 3, the concrete sub-bid. We did receive the sub-bids, and they were a little bit lower than what our self-performing sub-bid was, but we spoke to the owners of the facility, and after explaining to them that our experience and quality of work would far outweigh the lower cost of the bid. And with that, I will pass it on to Skylar. What you got?
Shown here is kind of a general breakdown of our entire schedule. First of all, I'd like to point out we start with an award of contract of 2/9/19. Next, you'll notice the notice to proceed is not until 4/10/19. That is due to 40 days of completing design. We need to have all of our designs complete and have full construction documents before we can proceed. There's also 3 days in there for the use of our BIM and VDC training, make sure everyone understands and is trained up on that process. You'll also notice there is abatement in there, and that is actually happening during our permitting process. We worked with the owner to do their own contract with the abatement company in order to eliminate that from our risk and maintain our schedule. Moving into our first day on the site, we will start on 6/4. That will be the end of our permitting process and begin all of our civil works. We want to do all of our outside civil work as fast as we can. Obviously, we have those 3 tenants still in 6, 7, and 8, so we want to maintain that they have their space and we're not intruding on them as much as possible. Following our max excavation, we move into our demolition. We start by moving out the storefront in the front there. That way we can pull all the machines in and work our way out. So that'll act as our access point through the project. After our demolition, we need to start getting the foundations and structure in place. We did decide to put our large MEP pieces in place before we constructed the steel around them. And we kind of did that in a sense so we could get them in place before the steel kind of made a maze that we couldn't get through. Following our MEP and structure, we want to start getting our rough-ins in. The rough-ins are significant in this project. It took up a large duration. And following our MEP rough-ins was interior finishes. You'll notice that the bar comes very far over. and that is because the finish underneath the MEP units inside is a sealed concrete, so it kind of filled into that spot. Following that, we have a full 30 days for owner installation for a closeout in 2-3. Came to a total duration of 24 months or 513 working days. And with that, I'll pass it on to Nick.
Thanks, Skyler. A couple of things that I kept in mind when I was making my site logistics plan were, of course, number one, public safety. We are working on an active naval base, so want to make sure that any exterior work that we're performing, we take care of everyone that's around the building, as well as the occupants inside the building in sectors 6, 7, and 8, which we'll see in a second. Another thing is, since it's a naval base, we are restricted on our site access. All contractors will have to enter through the main gate and then travel the designated path on the site logistics plan to reach our site. Other than that, we're gonna have to coordinate heavily with our deliveries to make sure that all of our truck drivers can get in on the base, as well as they're gonna need to know where they're laying the material down, or if we're doing on-time delivery and we're just gonna store that inside the building. Lastly, the continuous operations in the adjacent buildings, we're gonna have to keep in mind our noise, we're gonna have to keep in mind our dust, make sure that our construction personnel are in our own area and we're keeping everyone else who's in adjacent buildings safe and in their own areas as well. Proper signage. As you can see here, this is our project site. Not shown is up here on the north end is where the main gate is gonna be. So all contractors who enter in on the main gate follow Surface Navy Boulevard, which is this street right here, and end up on Wooden. And that is gonna be our first entrance, the storefront system that Skylar has mentioned we're gonna pull out. We're gonna use this, we're gonna make a temporary wall here. We're gonna use this as our main construction entrance. If we can, all of our on-time deliveries will be dropped off here. We'll move them straight from the truck on Wooden Street into the building where they're gonna be installed. If not, the delivery trucks will move all the way down Cummings Road and take it right on 4th Street to our material laydown, which you'll see here in the green. The material laydown is actually behind the guard shack. We'll have to make sure all delivery drivers that are using that route are badged and can get into that gate and then store the materials in the laydown. Around our laydown area is a temporary fence. This is just gonna help protect any employees that might be walking by, as well as deter some theft that might occur. But it's under pretty heavy security, so it's not something that we're extremely worried about. The one thing I really want to push on is how we're going to actually construct this building. So we have pretty limited access as far as concrete is concerned. We've got quite a bit of concrete we're going to need to pour on this job. I've identified 2 locations where we're going to be able to pour concrete from. One at the north, located at the orange concrete logo, and then one in the south. We're going to use the overhead door in Sector 5 as a good spot to route all of our pump lines and all of that for the concrete pouring. We're going to start at the green checkpoints in Sector 3 and work our way back out from both concrete pour points. When we go to frame up our steel building, we're going to actually frame up starting in Sector 5, and we're going to move all the way out, framing 1st and 2nd floors, move out that front in Sector 1, and finish off with our storefront system. Last but not least, we are going to implement all BMP practices on our site logistics. Even though not shown, it's good to keep in mind we've got our concrete washouts as well as inlet protections in mind. Any other erosion and sediment control has also been taken into account. And with that, I will pass it on to Dante, who's going to tell us a little bit more about our recycling and our LEED.
Thank you. Here at Mortensen, we understand the importance of sustainability in construction. We will be completing this project with a LEED Silver certification. I personally will be overseeing the trash and recycling at the job site and documenting everything and ensuring that it goes to the correct recycling facility. We will also be supplying this documentation to the owner, as well as our facility management services with the total cost of ownership, the transition of operations, and the total maintenance. And with that, I'll hand it off to Max.
Thank you, Dante. Here at Mortensen Construction, we've been innovating in the lean arena for quite a bit. For this reason, we were able to leverage our experience to come up with 3 opportunities to innovate in this area. The first opportunity that we found was prefabrication and modularization. What we will be doing is we will be utilizing BIM, being that we are in the unique position that we are completing the design on this project. We are able to complete analysis of our bin prior to construction beginning. What this allows is for us to identify any opportunities for prefabrication or modularization. Doing so, we identified a few key items that we can use, we can prefabricate or modulate, MTRs, as well as wall panels. The second item, and something Nick touched on in the site plan, just-in-time deliveries. We will be completing just-in-time deliveries, working very closely with our trade partners to ensure that deliveries do occur at most 1 day ahead of schedule. Of course, only on items that is possible. What this allows is for us to only move material one time, as opposed to two, one to the laydown area and then one back into the building. The last item we did identify, and the item we are most excited about, and as well have the most experience with, is barcode scanning. We have utilized barcode scanning systems on many projects in the past. What this is during construction, our project engineer, Dante, will receive all material as it arrives. What he will do is he will ensure that a barcode is placed on that material. He will then scan that material with a software that can be on an Android or iPhone. What that does is it checks in the material as well as it locates that material exactly where it's going to be. What's great about this system is it's online, accessible, all stored in the cloud. Our on-site, off-site, and trade partners can all access this at any time. As well, the information that would be included on each item would be installation instructions, warranty information, and up-to-date location information. This would save time on searching for material. This would save costs on lost material if you have to reorder. It's really a great system, and we do love it, and we are very excited to implement that on this project. With that, I will pass it on to Ben, who will deliver our closing arguments.
Thank you, Max. And now that we're at the end, I'd like to reiterate the strength of our team. We have great personalities, great past experience, and our skills are going to work well. I think Morrison can do a very successful project if you choose our team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you mind going back to the slide where you talked about the project value, please? GMP slide.
One more back.
One more. Tell me a little bit about desired monthly cash flow.
So what I did is I took our personnel costs and I divided it by 24, the amount of months that we're going to be on the project, taking that as our overhead, and then figured that as long as we achieved more than $48,000 a month, we'd be able to cover our overhead costs for that month in relation to our personnel costs. If it was the total general conditions, it was closer to $83,000, I believe.
Okay. And then I'm trying to see what percent margin are we going to make on this project?
I did not see anything in our bid template about the fee that we were charging. I figured considering the high risk and the advanced tech of it, it would be 4%.
Okay. What areas in the project are, I guess, opportunistic for margin enhancement?
Definitely self-performing concrete, as well as taking advantage of the self-performing opportunity with the gypsum board, as well as the specialty items. That will eliminate some overhead costs for us and also put a greater fee in our pocket.
If I might be able to add to that, also the use of our on-time delivery is hopefully going to shave off some time as far as staging materials is concerned. We're going to try to limit the amount of times we move materials to try to cut down on our labor costs, and that will also help increase the margin just a little bit that way, as well as encompassing the rest of our lean innovations that we've discussed already. I think that'll be huge.
I have some questions on the barcode scanning.
Sure.
So I'm curious who will be in charge of creating the barcodes, and then how do you ensure that the correct barcode is getting placed on the material?
Of course. During the design phase, myself being the design phase manager, will start this program. We'll own this program all the way up until the construction begins. Once that occurs, Dante, our project engineer, and I will have already had many meetings prior to construction start. I will hand that off to Dante, who will be